Broadcast is live. There we
We're
go.
live. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you. Please disregard anything that happened before the countdown. Welcome to Flashpoint TV. Your breakthrough story starts here, is told here, and so much more. This is August 25th. This is season 2, episode number 31. Mandy, can you believe it?
I don't know where the year's going. Seriously. I'm still back in February trying to remember if I did certain things. It's amazing, but that's great because there's so much on the go and so many exciting things coming down the pipeline. It makes us want to get there faster, right? It's all exciting.
Well, it's going fast enough. And I think that no matter where you find yourself, wherever this show finds you, it's important to dial into where you are, because even if you had a rough year, I want to welcome you into the possibility that that can turn around. And we believe this show is going to share some insights, some ideas, some inspiration, maybe stir something up that you didn't know was there that could give you maybe that minor shift that you need to move in a different trajectory. And maybe you can turn a rough year or a mediocre year into a fantastic year. So we're going to kick off the show with my beautiful co-host here, Mandy May. Mandy, are you ready for another? What did we say about this episode?
What? Sorry, say again?
What did we say? How good is this episode going to be?
Oh, it's going to be the best show in the universe because you have a member of the Queen's representative sitting with you.
Well, you're close, Mandy. You're close. It's going to be the best show in the history of the universe.
It is. I've no doubt. We've put it out there. It's going to happen. The guests we've got coming on.
Yes.
It is going to be diamonds in the opening and the shining. So we're
having some fun here, but it is going to be a fantastic show. You may want to take some notes. Well, we're going to have Marlon Mueller, farm boy to multi-millionaire. We got a special surprise guest, and we're going to have Julie Gandy joining us. That's why we call Peace and Love Amplifiers. And that's why we call this Peace
and
Profits.
Absolutely.
So, Mandy, let's kick the show off.
And you did say welcome to everybody. I don't know if I missed that. But anyway, welcome to everybody, because without the listeners, it would be pointless us being here. So we have a little ritual, and we're going to start it off with the hourglass. Now, whether you like it or not, I have a completely different spin on the hourglass this week. But I'll try and incorporate both of them. So let's start with what we already believe and see and know about the hourglass, where there is inspiration right in the middle. We have the sand in the top that slowly falls through the middle section into the bottom flask. The top represents everything in the future that has not yet happened. It falls through the present, which is the inspired moment, the present moment in the middle. And then it falls into the past, which is the sand falling in the bottom of the hourglass. So this is a reminder that whilst we can't control the future because it hasn't happened yet, and we can't control the past because it's already happened, it's gone, it's done, it's finished, we can't affect it to the degree that we might talk about in a minute. We are only ever left with the present moment. And I love that that word inspired is there, because life only unfolds in the present moment. And if we can find the inspiration in the present moment, that's when breakthroughs happen. That's when our life can change. So I've got a couple of quotes here. I just want to add to this. Life is like an hourglass. It has to turn upside down to start a new beginning.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I absolutely love this because that puts it in real time. Can't do anything about the future, can't do anything about the past. So maybe we're handling a struggle or a challenge right now. Turn it upside down and begin again. We can always start again. And then this next quote, time equals life. Therefore, waste your life or master your time and master your life. So where does time happen? Again, back to the present moment. Time happens in the present moment. So if we master our time in the present moment and make it as productive and creative and successful as we possibly can, then we are actually mastering our life. And this gets back to what you said at the beginning of the show, that there is the possibility that something within this show could turn around and inspire you. So I love the hourglass for all of that. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
No, I love it. I'm going to leave it right there. That's a beautiful explanation. The only thing I want to say is that this leads right into Power of Pure Presence, which is the show every Sunday at 10 a.m. And this show is an evolution of Get Free, Stay Present, Move Forward. And you can get access to that at my website, austinhaines.com/presence. All the shows are there, and you'll see this Sunday, August 28th at 10 a.m. That show is already queued up in YouTube. You can go there and check it out. And we're just waiting on final approval for it to also be up on Roku, Amazon Fire TV. It's very exciting. And it's already had a profound effect just by taking this concept that Mandy just shared. And I love the fact of turning it upside down. Mm-hmm. That is such a great,
analogy.
Great analogy here in life, because many people are going to find this show and we have fun. We're positive because that energy, we want to raise the energy, but we're also aware that some people may not be feeling that. And you might be in the middle of that, where your life feels like it got turned upside down. And if that's you, welcome. You're welcome here.
You're human. Yeah.
Right. You're human and you're seeking. You're looking for answers. And if you know somebody who's looking for answers, I want to invite you to share this with them. Share this with them. So
even if it's one person, because every one of these shows, there is something in this show for at least one person or more.
Yes.
Give them the opportunity if you've found a benefit there. So that's the hourglass. And now we're going to move on to the Edison light bulb. I'm going to get Austin to explain where he obtained that and what is its purpose.
This is the incandescent light bulb in its original, I don't want to say its original iteration, but pretty much the iteration that lit up the world. The one where Thomas Edison he had one final flashpoint. And that flashpoint was, if you remove the oxygen from this bulb, that the light could burn indefinitely when you removed it. And so this was acquired up at the exact site. And why is the name escaping me right now? But it's in New Jersey, it's North Jersey, and the name is escaping me, but it'll come back. And this was acquired right at the site. There's a little museum there, and there's a big tower, there's a monument, and it's where Thomas Edison and his team. I think it's important to point out his team, because a lot of times the person gets credit, and as they should, but there's a team that were responsible for the 10,000 iterations. And as the quote goes, when Thomas Edison was asked, how does it feel to have failed 10,000 times? And I think I want you to get this, not just logically, but I want you to embody this. I didn't fail 10,000 times. I successfully created 10,000 ways in which the light bulb could not be created. 10,000 is such a big number, but sometimes in our journeys, we feel like every door we open or every door we try to open is shut, or door gets slammed and we can walk away. But just say, celebrate that, because then it pushes you to the next opportunity, the next door. And then you're left with something and by the way, Mandy, it's important to point out that this iteration
Mm.
I want to say it was used for 100 years
Wow. That's
before yeah. So it was used for a very, very long time. One flashpoint moment, and then 100 years. 100 years. That's a pretty long stretch of time for
oh,
anything.
was it
So
Menlo Park?
that's it. Thank you.
I
You
just
know, for some reason, I had Manalapan in my mind, and I knew it wasn't Manalapan. It's Menlo Park.
Menlo Park. I'm going to add to that as well. Thomas Edison also said this: to invent, you need a good imagination and a pile of junk. So this just fused with me.
Where's the Liberty Bell? Let's ring the Liberty Bell in advance.
A
A pile of junk.
pile of junk. Well, it just made me think, pile of junk. It was thousands of different ways, and each way had to be changed or something else brought in. So can you imagine all this junk and this stuff sitting there in the factory or wherever they were, and each had to change to accommodate until eventually they achieved it. So imagination is the start. Dream, imagine, and Edison had that, right, which is phenomenal. So that's the light bulb, the Thomas Edison light bulb from Menlo Park.
And Mandy, I want to thank you for sharing that, because that hits.
Good.
That really hits. We'll have to get that one and repurpose that.
Yeah, we can.
So it's really good.
And so now we'll go on to the Liberty Bell, which you were happy to ding-a-ling at the sound of junk.
Especially when Marlon comes on, because he's going to be dropping all kinds of wisdom. So the Liberty Bell is insights, and we already have some right here. So we might as well ring the bell. We might as well. Ivy's with us today. Love that life is like an hourglass. You must turn it upside down for new beginnings.
Bravo, Ivy, bravo.
So, yeah.
So any thought that comes to their mind, anything they want to express, put it in the chat room. Put it in the chat room.
Yep. I got the Liberty Bell on right now.
Earning its wages.
So there we go. Lots of insights today.
Absolutely.
And we want you to get ready for the guests. So, Mandy, anything else before we transition?
No, I'm good with that. We're ready to move on to our amazing human being guests.
Yes, we're going to move on to Marlon Mueller. So Marlon and I met through another group, and this is why the power of connection and community. And I might as well say that during this show, but before the end of the show, I have a special surprise for every one of you. I just completed a new poem, and it really touched me. It really touches me, and I know it's going to touch you, about the power of community. And so Marlon, I met through another community, and he's become basically our resident wealth expert, 35 years plus in the space. And he'll tell you he made a lot of mistakes, but now he's fortunate enough. He's a farm boy. We call him the farm boy who became a multi-millionaire, but he's in groups, in these circles of people where there's millionaires and billionaires. And I think he's going to talk about the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire today, I think. So hopefully we'll get him to talk about that. But share this, right? Because we are all on some wealth journey, right? We're all on some journey to add more to our coffers, be better stewards, have the funds and resources to do the things we want, to give to the charities that we want, to create things that can create money. And in this market space right now, there's a lot of there's a lot of chatter, there's a lot of noise about what's going to happen and who's doing what and who's projecting this, and should I be doing crypto? Should I be doing NFTs? Where should I put my money? So Marlon's going to hit on that today. So help us give a warm welcome to Mr. Marlon Mueller.
Yes. Where is he?
Hello,
Marlon, how are you?
Marlon, hi. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Good to be here.
So why don't you tell everybody where you're from? Just give us a quick check-in, because you've had a lot happen in the past couple of weeks, and we're glad you're here today.
Sure. Yeah, I'm actually in Iowa. I grew up on a farm in Iowa, fourth generation, and a lot of challenges with farming and debt and everything else, which really was my turnaround story. When we were kind of caught in that financial crisis where we couldn't get money, and not necessarily that we were in trouble at that point. It was actually the financial institutions that were in trouble. So long story. But anyway, I just go, all right, how do you really create wealth? And of course, being a rural, small community in Iowa, not real conducive back then before the internet to really figure out how to create wealth. So took a lot of mistakes and listening to a lot of wrong people.
Yeah. And you're pretty candid about that, which I think I appreciate.
Mhm.
And, other people appreciate, because a lot of times we can walk away thinking that, oh, those people, they have some special gifts and they have different stuff than me. And here you are basically saying, well, yeah, I mean, I came from a farming background, but I've made a lot of mistakes. I had to learn, because without your journey, it's not like you'd be sitting on a pile of money had you just laid on what your family had done, right? You had to take whatever resources you had, go out there and pave a path for yourself, which you've done.
Right. Yeah. There's somewhat of a family resource, but it really wasn't, in a lot of farming communities, families, I should say, we always said you're paper rich and cash poor. And so,
what does that mean, Marlon?
Well, for instance, you could own land, but, the land doesn't necessarily mean that that's an asset that you can just turn into cash to go buy things other than borrow against it. And so, or people can own, stock in companies, their business company and stuff like that. But unless you sell that stock, it's just on your asset sheet, meaning you own it, but you really can't move it into something else unless you sell it. So paper rich.
Not liquid anymore. You can't liquidate it. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Very good. Very good. Mandy, what do you think? Do you have any questions for Marlon before we get into, I have a question for him, but
I love the idea of talking about the mistakes. People don't realize what it takes to be successful, or as successful as somebody like Marlon. And a lot of people will judge you for that, not knowing what your mistakes are. Well, he got there like that, and wow, whoopee for him. And it's instant judgment. But because you're transparent, and this is what we love to do on this show, and expose our vulnerability, by showing that you've made mistakes to get to where you are today, you're showing that you're human like the rest of us. You're not on some pedestal up there, right? That we can't reach. You're humble enough to admit you've made mistakes, but this is how you learned and you grew to become the multimillionaire that you are today. So I honor you for that, definitely.
Thanks. Actually, when you run around in that higher level circles, everyone in that circle has made tons of mistakes. And usually I always say the one that has a higher level of incomes or wealth or whatever, along their journey, they've made the most mistakes than anybody else, because that's how you in a way, that's how you get ahead in a lot of cases. You're willing to take on calculated risk.
I'm going to ring the bell on this one. And this goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Bulb. That's what I was just going to say. It's perfectly reflects the light bulb, no pun intended.
And I got a story that I think Marlon will relate to, and Mandy, you will too. But I'm sure you've heard of John Wooden, the legendary college coach, incredible human being, not only a coach. But one thing that I learned that he did, he walked into the locker room with his team. I think it was a big game. And he said, shoot the ball, take your shots, miss. Eventually you're going to warm up. So just start shooting the ball quickly, get the ball up, get the shots going, make the shots, take the shots, miss the shots, because we're going to take more. We're going to warm up and we're going to win. And I was like, that is just a great insight about shoot your shot, go make the mistakes. And Mandy, right to your quote, the junk, right?
Right. Where is it?
We got to type that in. I got to get that. I'm going to get that quote and share it.
To invent, you need a good imagination and a pile of junk.
A good imagination and a pile of junk. Okay, we're going to get this. But Marlon, I wanted to talk.
Not a pile of junk, though. Let's just be clear here.
We will get it. But one of the things that Marlon and I were talking about earlier, and he didn't tell me, he just teased me. He said the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire. So is this something you want to share, Marlon?
Well, I can. So last night I was actually messaging back and forth with one of my mastermind members. I don't know what he's worth, but to get an idea of his mindset, he's putting together $100 million philanthropic fund that will last way beyond his life. So, I mean, he's a big thinker. And he sent me this, and it says, what's the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire? And a millionaire knows how to make money. A billionaire knows how to help other people make money.
Oh.
And really, it's like every level, because I always talk about, a lot of what I talk about is mindset and mentorship.
Yeah.
And some people don't get that. I was just at an event, and one of the leaders was like, really, I've never heard that. You know,
Wow.
But in my circle, it's like everywhere. And it doesn't matter. You might be making 50,000 a year. How come you're not making 100? Because you don't have the mindset to make 100. If you're making 100, how come you're not making 500 or a million? Or if you're making 10 million, why aren't you making 50 million? So every level, there's a mindset difference and a change. And that's what this guy was saying. He goes, the reason guys are only a millionaire is because that's their mindset. They know how to make money, but they don't know how to help other people make money.
Well, this is like so good. And what were you saying to me earlier, which really hit me as well? Somebody said to you, what did they say to you about when you're not stepping into your wealth? What was that comment that they said?
I don't know. I guess
okay.
Nothing's popping in my head.
You're something about you're selfish, or remember? It
was that. Okay. Yeah. So this was not too long ago. I heard this and I thought, wow, it's so out there, but it's still kind of in my ballpark of what I've been talking about, but he just made it clear. And so I've kind of adopted that. And that is that God gives us an obligation to become successful and prosperous. And how many people have you heard it's like, well, I just want to have enough to meet my family's needs. I just want to have enough. And he said, how selfish can that be to just have enough? Okay, so you're okay, but the other persons or your neighbors, they're not okay. Sorry. So really, you need to create more than enough so that you can help those that are in need, which is really a biblical principle. So I just like, that's powerful.
Wow, that is. I got goosebumps on that. Mandy, what do you think about that?
I think that's absolutely amazing. And I was actually thinking of the biblical connotation to that as well. We're here to serve other people and to help them either shine their light or, in this instance, become wealthy just as much as we have the ability to become wealthy. And it's a giving. There's more happiness in giving than there is in receiving. So if we're sitting on something and we're content with it, but it's not doing anything but just sitting there, as in perhaps wealth, and somebody can say, well, I've got enough, I'm okay, Jack, as the phrase goes, then yeah, that is selfish, because it's stagnating. Yeah, it might be gaining them interest if it's wealth in the bank or whatever it is, but it's not helping the community. And I think that's where it becomes an imbalance. The rich get richer and the poorer get poorer. And then it becomes a rob Peter to pay Paul type mentality.
That's a great thing to say, Marlon, and grabs a lot of insight. And I want to honor our guests here today. We got Duchess DJ Love. She's the sponsor of Power Pure Presence. She's all about gratitude and helping others. And so just glad that she's with us today. And then Ivy's going to be a part of our Spotlight series. Being humble and revealing the mistakes made helps the average person feel as if they can achieve too. And they can. We can, absolutely. Most people don't want to admit their mistakes, right? And listen, we're all making mistakes. I fail forward every single day, believe me. That pile of junk, let me show you. TJ's with us. Welcome.
Hi, TJ. Yeah.
Success takes sacrifice and risk. And Ivy's giving you a shout out. And we talked about Menlo Park, which I picked up that light bulb. And let's grab one more before we transition. I've come to realize that wealth is our birthright, and it's in the Bible. We are to be prosperous. We have it within us. We must need to go within, which is our higher self. And that's why I love that Marlon works on the mindset so much, because we're not the world's not poor. It's our mindset that it's our beliefs that are furnishing what we get and what we give. And so, Marlon, is there anything before we transition? Is there anything else you want to share about today's market space, what you're working on? And then we're going to bring on our next guest that's going to join you, our surprise guest.
Well, interestingly, I was on another Zoom call earlier this morning, and it's kind of a little like a medium level, helping people to get ahead wealth-wise. And there really is a lot of strategies. I mean, right now, everyone's worried about the stock market. Ironically, I don't have that much money percentage-wise of my dollars in the stock market, because I've never made a lot of money in it. I just don't have the time, patience to study it. And, but most people, that's where they have their money. So I always tell people, it's like, you got to learn the things that are outside the stock market. And there's a lot of safe things that you can get into that I can introduce people even to, that get 10, 12% returns fairly safely without the ups and downs of the market. So that's one of the things. And that's part of the education, part of the mentorship, part of the mindset. There are two things I want to just kind of leave with you. One is what we always say is living is giving, since we've been talking about that. And then this friend, he always says, your success is someone else's miracle.
Yes. Yes. I just saw that quote as well today.
Wow. That's really good, Marlon. I always invite people to connect with Marlon. Marlon is approachable. Yes, he's a multi-millionaire. He's very approachable. He's helped a lot of people in our community. He's been in a lot of our platforms. He's going to be speaking at Flashpoint 4.0, October 7th, 8th, and 9th. So, but why not connect with him beforehand? Like, why not get to know him beforehand, so you can, when you go there, you're not just meeting him for the first time. Like, build a relationship with somebody who's in circles with millionaires and billionaires having these high-level conversations. So, Marlon, I don't have your email up here right this moment, but
can I clarify something with
yes,
Marlon?
Please.
So we've talked about the volatility of the stock market, mostly because a lot of people don't understand how it works. So these other options that you suggested, I forget what you said, 10% on something, are these options that are less volatile, or are they completely no volatility? Are they safe?
Let's just say there's always a risk wherever you put your money, even in the money market. I mean, at one point, the money market went down below $1 back in 2008 or 9, whatever. So there's always a little bit of risk. But as far as when you look at the stock market versus having a note that's backed by a business that's really sound,
mm-hmm.
You know, the risk is minimal.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
There's always risk in anything you do.
There's always risk.
Yeah.
I got up this morning. There's risk.
You stub your toe.
Get in your car. There's risk. But
yep.
Marlon, there's Marlon's contact information. If you want to connect with him, email him. If you're coming to Flashpoint, you can meet him now, and then this way, when you get to Flashpoint, you'll know him. How about that? So, Marlon, you're going to stay with us, right?
Sure, I'll hang around.
Yeah.
I got one other little tidbit I'll share about mindset later.
We got Gordon Melville, the long bearded guy. I want to give him a shout out. His show's every Friday at noon, so he's with us here. And let's bring on our next guest. So the next guest, it's interesting. The next guest, let's see, I was introduced to by the guest after that. So Julie Gandy introduced me to Shay Marcus, and Shay has built, well, she came from high-end men's fashion. I would never claim to be high-end men's fashion, but she came from that space, had a lot of success, but she has a heart for the holistic space. So she took over Natural Awakenings magazine, continues to make it a success. And then she started this health expo. It's called the Holistic Health and Healing Expo. And in March, she can tell you, but I want to say she had over 2,000 people pass through here. So it tells me that what she's creating, people want. So I wanted to bring her on the show. Shay, are you ready to join? Thumbs up. I think she's ready. Okay. Shay, welcome to the show. You are on mute right now, so make sure you unmute.
Yes. Welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you?
Good. We're doing very well. How are you?
Good. It's Thursday. I'm alive.
Exactly. We all are. So this is nice because we do this because you get to meet Marlon for the first time. Marlon gets to meet you as we learn about you.
Hi, how are you?
Good. High fashion. That reminds me of my modeling days back in my 20s.
Oh my gosh.
Fashion, and I look down, I'm like, I'm in a tank top.
You look great. You look great. It's in the eyes and the smile, but we're glad to have you here. I wanted everybody to meet you just to learn a little bit about your story. If you could speak and just share, because I love this transition, right? High-end men's fashion. Now you're in this holistic space. Are you like, how's this been for you? I'd love for you to share a little bit about your story.
Wow. Yeah. So men's fashion for 18 years, worked a lot of B2B. So we dealt with a lot of the designers and buyers. So more of a B2B end of things. And I love it. I mean, I think menswear, they're incredible people. They have great hearts. There's a sense of community in menswear that really is wonderful. And I don't think people realize when you think fashion, but for men's fashion, they're really just great people. So when COVID happened and the stores all started to close and it really got hit hard, business stopped for everyone. So, I'm at Whole Foods and I'm picking up my natural awakenings like I always did. And I'm thinking I'm a publisher and I'm so passionate about all these topics. I wish, literally happened like this. I wish I could do something like this locally. And I open up the magazine just like that. And there's a full page ad, Natural Awakenings is for sale. And I thought, okay, universe, that's a pretty big sign. That's pretty incredible. I mean, it happened like that. So,
Wow.
So I called the previous owner, and 6 weeks later, yeah,
Light bulb moment.
It was crazy. And 6 weeks later, I owned it, and I was like, wow, okay, that just happened. Yeah, but it was an amazing, just everything. Everything worked. It worked, working with the owner and the way we negotiated, everything just fit and the timing was right. And, I thought, well, it's in the middle of COVID. This is either going to be the best idea or the worst idea. We're going to, but, we'll go with it. So we went with it. And then as we started to, I don't want to say COVID was over, but as we started to see the light at the end of the tunnel, we really felt that sense of community, right? I really felt like everybody wanted to be around their peers again and talk about their experiences and what they've learned, or just to reconnect with humanity. So I thought, I'm going to do this expo and I'm going to have something small. I went to the Aloft Hotel and I'm like, okay, just a small room and maybe like a couple hundred people. And I said, but if I need to expand, I can. And she said, yeah, we can do this. Within 6 weeks, we were completely sold out. 67 booths. We're putting booths in the lobby. We're putting them outside. We're like, people are calling me and begging to get in. Can I pay you double? I said, you could pay me normal if I had space. I don't have anywhere to put you. So we ended up with a 40+ wait list going into
Wow.
the expo, which just shows that people were ready to get out. And then the day of, we had an Eventbrite, the tickets going for Eventbrite. Mm-hmm. So we had an idea of how many people were, but it's a free event. So you think, well, people are signing up, but maybe the percentage of actually showing up might be small or less. And we had people at doors with clickers, and we had gift tote bags. So we really kind of had a good idea of what was coming through. And as the numbers went up and up and up, and you can just see the place was packed. And the vendors, in fact, I had lunch with one of the vendors who does shadow work, and she said, I just sat there going, the lines and the people, it was just to see it. Everybody.
Good problem to have.
Oh, it was a great problem. The energy was just crazy. So now we moved it next door to the Westin. We allow for more vendors, more space, more workshops. But it was incredible. So we're just hoping we're going to just make it even better.
And I feel like it's already happening. And I thank Julie for introducing me to you. And I'm like, as all this prep is happening, we're already connecting and forming new relationships. And this one, and if you could just share, because I want to get Julie on here too. But your next one is going to be, I have the website up, but
yeah, sure. It's October 16th from 11 to 5 at the Westin Hotel in Mount Laurel. Free. It's, free to come. We do have different workshops happening all throughout the day. If you go to our website, which is hhhexpo.com, you can go on and check out the workshops. There are some that are free. There are some practitioners that are charging, but you have everything from CBD, which, is a big topic right now. How do we, how do you dose? What is it good for? What are the different kinds? How do you look at, the different analytics to it, to dream interpretation. And, there's so many different fun stuff.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, we're going to have Shay back for a full interview. We're going to get to learn more about her, but I wanted to bring Shay on today just to introduce, let everybody know about the event. I think this event's going to be amazing. I'm excited to be a part of it. I'm going to be there with a booth. Julie's going to be there with a booth. So just for time, I'm going to bring Julie on right now because then we can have some great dialogue here. So Julie is in her car. She's traveling, but she's got a lot of exciting news. Julie, are you ready to join? Okay. So there we go. The magic when technology works. It's beautiful. Julie,
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I'm in the car, but I'm not traveling. I've stopped the car. The engine's off. We're all good. Hey, Mandy. Hey, Shay. Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
And hi, Marlon. How are you? Yeah.
Yep. So I want to share, I just want to share this, Julie. Julie asked me to go through her process. She's been working on this for over 25 years. Incredible, not just her own studies, but aligning with some of the best things on planet Earth that help people heal, get them to get perspective that maybe they couldn't find for decades. And I had an incredible experience with Julie. When I met her, I had this, it was almost like continuation of some of the work that I had done prior. And it was transcendent. It was like, I got chills. It was just amazing. And so the fact that you completed that program, you got a book coming out. I just would love for you to just share what you're most excited about right now. And I want to get the word out for everybody as to what you're working on.
Well, thank you. And I'm glad that you had that experience. It is something that I've been putting together. When you were my business coach, Austin, it was right before the pandemic hit. And I started this melding of massage, energy work, and heart math coaching, heart math is one of the leaders in stress reduction and helping people change their internal environment in the moment. So it's sorry, that was my car officially turning off.
That's okay.
And so this process is to help people kind of get through their limiting beliefs, their triggers, things that are holding them back, and to do it on a body, mind, spirit level. So having the energy work, the body work, as well as the emotional, mental work. And then, I pull in my wisdom, my guides, my connections. And the process is called Embodying Wisdom. And it's a 5-step process. And we start with a stress and well-being assessment that Heart Math has put together. And then we talk about that, and after the person does it, and then I coach 2 different techniques that Heart Math has put together. One is called Cut Through, and that is to help cut through emotional stored significance, where if you have an event that triggers an emotion, we learn to cut that cord almost to really get in there and not have that significance as strong. And then the other technique is called Freeze Frame, and that's to help with intuition, to really develop the person's intuition, where they can tap into that more readily. They have this, and these techniques are all, they're studied, they're proven. I've used Cut Through to help me get rid of anxiety, and because I always had this constant level of anxiety throughout from childhood all the way up and through my 30s and 40s. So once I learned these techniques, I was able to literally cut those, cut through all of that. So it's and then so then that the training happens, and then we get onto the table, and again, I'm using my wisdom, I'm tapping into the person's wisdom, and you're tapping into your own wisdom, and then we come to that body work session with a question or with a task, right? Or something to get rid of, or to ask questions for, and then it's kind of miraculous what happens there. There's something that happens, and so and then after that we touch base and check in, do another assessment a couple of weeks later, see how things are going.
Yes.
So
it's very comprehensive. It's a very comprehensive program. Julie leaves no stone unturned. But I'd like to say, and Julie is the peace builder who started a bar fight. So
there's that story.
That's a whole nother story. And maybe she'll tell that to you if you jump in. But just for time purposes, I want to make sure everybody knows about your book.
Yeah, it's called A Jersey Girl Finds Peace, Finding Peace After a Lifetime of Anxiety. And it tells my story, a lot of different things, how I was the peace builder in my family. I was the youngest of 4 children, and my siblings my 2 sisters would always fight. And, they love each other. We all love each other. We're all, as adults, we're all good friends. So it's all good. It's just teenage angst. And they shared a room, which doesn't help. But it was, that prepped me. My one sister said it was because of her that I'm a peace builder, because she had to, yeah. So anyway, so the book is about it kind of bring out my dad's story. My dad had a very, very traumatic incident while he was 10, and it literally stayed with him because of his upbringing of, being of that age, being Irish, all those things, the stoicism. He literally held on to that trauma until his literal deathbed, till he was getting his last rites. And so how he really was able to navigate, be a good dad, be a good provider, even though he had this horrible incident happen to him. And so how that kind of, in the book, it kind of the story gets touched on a few times, but it really, it affected him, even though he didn't tell us about it. We all found out when we were, I want to say, in our 20s. I was, again, younger. My older sister, the same one, didn't find out until she was in her 40s that this event happened to our father. That's how little they talked about it. So it was a very, it talks about the ACEs, right? The adverse childhood experiences, that study that was done, and you can look it up. There's a whole bunch of things on there, a bunch of studies.
Yeah.
So, in 1940s when he was born, this event happened in 1950, and none of this was, going on. So, so looking back on that, I could trace back his life, and knowing that story, kind of everything made sense. And it's like, oh yeah, that is actually the fact that my dad went to work every day and he was a good dad, put all his kids through college, yeah. So
Now, this is amazing because this is like you've gotten this perspective. And I think about how many people are out there that maybe an earlier version of your father that need this work. That's why it's important to share with this, even with one person, that this could help. So Julie has a very heart-centered healing energy and practice and modalities that can help. So get the book, connect with her. I want to hear from everybody because we're going to transition. I got this beautiful poem I want to share. I think I shared it with a few of you, and we're going to share it here for the first time publicly. But I want to hear, if we can go back around, Mandy, if you want to just go back around, we'll hear from everybody one last time, and then I'll cue the poem up as we get into our closing sequence of the show.
Well, I think there's been a great theme through all of our guests here. It's about serving other people and helping them to be prosperous, helping them to be healthy, helping them to be balanced in their lifestyles, whether it's the lifestyle or it's the food, whatever it is they intake. And then you go to the mind-body experience or the heart-centered experience with Julia. So that digs deeper into the psyche and the emotional trauma that is stored in the cells and in the programs that we've lived with. And back to Marlon, who again talks around money and the difference between the millionaire, the billionaire, and the power of money to either we can use it as a tool or we can use it and it can destroy us by doing nothing with it, right? We're just letting it stagnate. So that theme of helping people to reach their highest potential in health, in wealth, in mind-body experience, all that type of thing, that's been the theme throughout all of this. And I think it's very important for today's society, especially as Shay brought out with everybody coming out of COVID now. It's like a mad rush. They've been silent. They've been stuck in for over 2 years. And it's, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And that balance needs to be found again. But it's a lot of opportunity for people like us to reach people's hearts and give them what they need, what they want, what they've been missing and what they're craving for.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, Mandy. Marlon, any final words before we transition to the poem? Anything. It could be anything, whatever you want to share.
So I'll just share something I just read just before I got on the call. And so Def Leppard, I don't know how many of you know, it's an old rock band. And Phil Collins is one of the members.
Yeah.
And so this guy, he used to work with Jim Rohn and he was working with Phil Collins. Anyway, he was so shocked because for the last 30 years, Phil Collins hasn't had alcohol and he's really into health and fitness. And I just thought, wow. I mean, because you see some of these guys are still on stages in their 60s, bouncing around, jumping on. I mean, it takes a lot of energy to do that. And but again, it was a mind shift change from the early days of alcoholism and drugs and everything else to today. It's about health, fitness, living long, and still making a change in other people's lives. So
that's a great share, and it just speaks to how powerful the human body is. Even if you abuse it, if you start to do the right things, you can reverse it. Shay, final words.
Sorry, I have to unmute. I'm just feel incredibly blessed. I mean, I feel like every single day I get to meet new people and hear new stories. And, today for the first time, I know we've been trying to connect, and to hear everybody's story has just been, it's really just, Julia, we talk, but we don't ever talk about this stuff. It's always, and you hear this stuff and you just get so inspired, so I just feel grateful that we are, as a community, I feel, learning and growing, and everybody's minds are opening up. I mean, before it's like people didn't really talk about this. If they did, you kind of felt like people thought you were a little, it was a little kooky, right? Energy healing, and they're like, oh, they're into the woo woo. Now it's like, I have this magazine, we're doing this expo, we have books and podcasts, and we're so excited to talk about it and embrace it. And I'm just grateful to be part of these times.
Yeah, and we're grateful that you were here today, finally, to get on the show. We're going to have you back again. And I want to just point out that Julie is going to be at my event. She's going to be doing a little segment at my event. and she's going to be at your event with a booth. So there's plenty of opportunity. Oh, and the summit. We're doing a summit on September 18th. We're doing a spotlight summit. Julie is going to be on there. Mandy's going to be on there. And we have many other folks that are coming in. We're doing a documentary, another Flashpoint Spotlight series. We want to start getting these stories out to the world under the Flashpoint branding, and your brand, co-brand, reach more people, touch more lives. Julie, final words before we transition to the poem.
Well, Shay, what you were talking about just then, I've been in this business for over 20 years, and I've seen the gamut of, when I would do essential oils and make my own sprays and take them to vendor fairs, and people would be like, what is that? She's like a weirdo. And now the fact that there's so much there now and so much out there, and people are more accepting of this, those kinds of modalities and things. And what, this whole thing with the pandemic and everything going on in the world, the one thing that I can say is that you can look at it in two different ways. One is that society's breaking down, right? That there's so much chaos, there's so much strife out there. But if you look at what happens between a caterpillar and a butterfly, and in the chrysalis, the caterpillar literally breaks down. It becomes this soup of genetic code, and then all of a sudden there's all these imaginal cells. That's what they're called, imaginal cells, that wake up and they start to form the butterfly. So instead of thinking that this is a society that's breaking down, we can say that it's a society that's breaking through, that we're breaking through. We're kind of coming up, we are these imaginal cells, all, what you're doing with the expo, all the people that are in all these groups that are heart-centered, that want to shift society, that want to help their families grow. And what Marlon's doing with just building wealth, and building that it's different wealth than than what we've had in the past. But so from breakthrough to from breakdown to a breakthrough, that's what I would
and the power of people proximity in these communities.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, the power of getting together like this, and we can, it can be shared. It can continue. Mm-hmm. So this has been incredible. I hope you all connect with each other. I'm going to just bear with me. I'm going to navigate the technology here, and we can get this poem queued up. So let me see if I can do that right now. Mandy, I'm going to turn it over to you for a second just so I get this queued up. So it may come on right away. It may not, but we'll figure it out. We always do.
While you're doing that, we'll just talk about some of the things that are up and coming. I believe it's the last day today to order the first batch of paraphernalia, so mugs and tumblers. Orders have to be got to in by tonight. Are you ready to roll with that?
I think so. So let's do it. I'm going to remove everybody. Thank you so much. And we're going to cue this up. Bye, Marlon. Talk to you soon, Shay.
Bye, Shay.
And Julie, we'll talk soon.
Bye, Julia.
All right, Mandy. And we'll be back in a moment. Hang tight.
I release emotions that seemed stuck.
There we go. You got to play with the tech here. Give me a moment.
Emotions. I release emotions that seemed. The sinews of community cannot be fully measured. But when life gets intense, it can keep me tethered to the tenets I knew to be true long before the storm came through. I get stronger to face any provocation. I overcome my greatest challenges, even stagnation. I can rise again, even if I have been oppressed for years. Community gives me wings to fly over my fears. Community allows me space to release tears that heal. I am reconnected and empowered to truly feel. I release emotions that seemed stuck for an era. Emotions that used to make me shake in terror. No longer will I retreat into a hopeless isolation, for that urge is transmuted into my spark of liberation. I do not feel it immediately, but one bold step and my I becomes our we. Through my community, I am empowered and set free. For I need my community, and my community needs me.
Thanks for hanging in there, everyone, with the tech. Sometimes we just have tech we have to navigate through. So Mandy,
And your brain
and here we go again.
is the
So Mandy, I'm going to turn it over to you for a minute.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So last orders for the tumblers tonight. We've got The Power of Pure Presence. It's episode 8 on Sunday at 10 a.m.
9. Episode number 9.
Oh, I saw 8.
Number 9.
9. That's awesome. Great catch there. Great catch there. And we're looking to promote some more tickets for Flashpoint 4.0 for October the 8th and the 9th. And there are also virtual tickets. And believe it or not, the tickets are almost sold out. So if you want to take advantage and jump into the Flashpoint experience, now's the time to step in and get your ticket. We've got a retreat in Costa Rica on the go. Austin is looking for 10 people to take part in that. So again, chatwithaustin.com. You can reach Austin to chat about that or any other of the programs that we have. We've got 2 documentaries happening during that Flashpoint conference. And we've got a summit, and I think it's September the 18th from 1 to 3 p.m. So we're going to highlight all the people in the documentary at that point in time. So I think that's just about most of it that I can think off the top of my hat.
Yes, there was something else I wanted to share, but the summit. Oh, we have 5 commitments for Costa Rica already.
Yo, you do? Oh, that's sold out. Wow.
5 verbal commitments. So there's about 5 spots left. So
yeah,
and I have people messaging me about it. So I know there's a lot of folks that want to get to Costa Rica. We just gave you a really good reason. We gave you an opportunity to go there. So that's going to be exciting. I had a good friend of mine that was in there in July doing all kind of reconnaissance. We got a great location planned. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. So we're at 4:00, top of the hour. Mandy, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Final, just quick. What do you feel? What are you thinking, feeling about this show as we?
This show was jam-packed with the energy of take action, get Julia's book, step into Shay's Expo, talk to Marlon about investing and looking after your funds. Talk to you about Flashpoint and all the events coming up. It's step into your power, step into your courage, stop stagnating, stop feeling stuck, stop with the self-doubt, the judgment, and get in where the breakthroughs and life changes in the present moment. The power of pure presence and we're here for you. We welcome you with open arms.
Perfect way to end. I'll see you Sunday, Power of Pure Presence, or we'll be back next week with more incredible guests. Thank you, Mandy.
You're
Bye,
welcome.
everyone.